Hi, I'm Pastor Kurt, and this is your 5-minute Bible study. Today, we're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 3, verses 18 through 22. This is when Jesus calls the fishermen to follow him and be disciples. Now, when we read this scene, this is the beginning of Jesus' earthly ministry. So he's an adult, and he's coming upon the Sea of Galilee, and he calls these guys to follow him. And the story says that they just drop their nets, abandon their fishing business, and go. At first glance, that seems really reckless and irresponsible. I mean, who in the world would do that? If somebody showed up to where you work and all of a sudden said, "Come follow me," would you do it? Would you quit your job, drop everything, abandon all your responsibilities, abandon your family, and go and follow this guy? Probably not, right? You've got stuff you need to get done. So then why did these guys follow him? The text doesn't say. All it says is that they dropped everything and they followed, which sounds reckless and irresponsible. But there is something really important to notice here. Well, couple things. First of all, when we read this story and we hear about these fishermen following Jesus, sometimes we kind of, see them as super disciples. Like, oh, they can drop everything and follow Jesus. They can commit their life to doing whatever Jesus wants. I got responsibilities. I've got to-do lists. I've got chores to do and bills to pay. I can't do that kind of thing, right? It almost sounds like discipleship is something that these super disciples in the Bible can do, but everyday people like us, we can't. Well, no, I don't think that's quite the point, right? Jesus calls everyday people to follow him. These are blue-collar guys. These are guys who are out on the lake, working up a sweat, smelling like fish, and Jesus calls them to follow. Also, we need to remember that these guys didn't really leave everything behind. As we keep going in the story, we'll see that they still come back to this lake. They still get in the boat. Think about the scenes when there's the storm on the water, or when Jesus walks on the water. They also don't completely abandon their families. Think about when Peter brings Jesus to heal his sick mother-in-law. There's something that's left behind, but not everything. And I think that's helpful for us today when we think about this story. We can't just abandon our lives, right? We've got stuff we need to get done. We have responsibilities, chores, and all that stuff. But we can still follow Jesus. Jesus still calls us to follow too, so how do we do it? Well, we realize that in following Jesus, our life has a new purpose, a new direction, a new focus. When Jesus called these fishermen, he said that he was going to have them fish for people. Or some translations say fish for men, okay? Fish for men and women. Fish for people. What does that mean? Jesus is going to use the talents and skills that these guys already have to help spread his good news and love to others. Think about what skills you have to have if you're a fisherman. You have to have patience, persistence, dedication, a willingness to keep going even if you don't see results right away, right? These kind of things. Teamwork, you have to work together. There's a lot of things that fishermen already do and know that also disciples do and know. When Jesus calls you to follow him today, he's calling you to use the gifts and skills you already have, but now with new meaning and purpose and direction in your life. See the difference here? This isn't about giving up everything and following Jesus, but in a way, it kind of is. because you're giving up an old way of living in order to now follow Jesus in a new way of living. Also, notice that these guys dropped their nets and abandoned ship immediately. They didn't weigh their options. They didn't sit around and think about it, right? They just did it, which to us seems a little reckless again, right? If we're making a big decision in life, we want time to think about it. We want time to weigh our options. We want time to consider what's the best course of action here. Sometimes when we follow Jesus, we got to make that decision now. What do I mean by that? Think, for example, about times that you're tempted. Tempted by whatever the case may be. When you're tempted, you have this thing that's saying, hey, come do this thing. But you also remember, I'm a disciple of Jesus, and I don't want to do that thing, or I shouldn't do that thing. In that moment, you have to make an immediate decision. Follow Jesus or not. That's kind of what's going on with these fishermen here. Follow Jesus or not. And it's not a one-time thing, okay? If you fall into temptation, Jesus continues to call you. Jesus' disciples weren't perfect people. Keep reading the story and you'll see how they mess up. But Jesus still calls them, and he still calls you because he trusts you to share his love with others. That's pretty cool. There's your 5-minute Bible study for the day. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.